Hello, my name is Richard Williams Peters III. This is a retake of Part 1 and Part 2 of Contra Costa County Children Family Services of California of Martinez 2004 assault and attack of character, attack on my principles, and basically just an attack on me, period, due to the fact that I'm a male and due to the fact that since I am a male, refused any rights whatsoever to Yvonne Francesca Peters and refused any rights to, be successful in life. I would have been a great success, but that was all destroyed by Lois and by Valerie Early, Rhonda McGee, Nanette Dupree, Lindsay Simpson, Linda Ray. I believe the last social worker was Michelle, who are all marked for prayer of death. In other words, I pray for their death one day. All these women need to be murdered and killed for taking that little girl. That little girl was everything to me. Elena Burnell should have been in jail and suffering jail time for her crimes, which will never be done anyway, so that's okay. But these people need to be killed and murdered for their crime, and that's what needs to happen. Anyways, listen to this judge very closely.
Parents.
That is true. Guardianship.
And guardianship, not natural parents. It seems to me that as early as the 1940s, the United States Supreme Court has held that there is an absolute liberty interest, a fundamental liberty interest that parents have in the care, custody, and control of their children. That's been on the books forever. I have a whole bunch of Supreme Court cases I can read from. That's just going to waste a lot of time. They have that fundamental constitutional right. It cannot be impaired without due process of law.
And where the qualified immunity analysis and the clearly established law plays into this is, do we have case law that tells us that?
No. You've read Help versus Pelter. There doesn't have to be case law. There can be other ways of showing that it's clearly established. Case law is not an absolute requirement.
It is.
Have you read Hope versus Pelzer and all the other cases that talk about that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, there does not have to be a case on all fours.
You're correct. Correct. There does not have to be a case on all fours.
Right. What isn't clearly established here?
The fact that what Costanza says, what's not been clearly established in the year 2000 when this removal occurred was the idea that the right to be free from deliberately fabricated evidence in civil child abuse proceedings.
In 2002, at 2006, everything was fabricated. What happened is that Lindsay Simpson and the social workers of Contra Costa County Children Protective Services had stolen Parsons State Hospital and Training Center records and turned them around to get everybody to believe that I'm in active treatment. Now, I was never in active treatment. I was always having to use stepping stones to get to one place to another because of the fact that I do not qualify for public services. I don't qualify for a lot of services at all. In fact, I've had to leave the country and leave the United States because nobody wants to hear the truth and give me some closure to these assaults and abuse by government in the first place. Today, I support extreme terrorist assault against all social workers and their lawyers because I'm a good man, and good men deserve to be given rewards. We deserve to be able to live in peace. The evidence J04 /01946 was all fucking fabricated. One, I didn't belong in Nevin House. Elena Burnell did. That's just a diversion to avoid arresting Elena Lucilla Burnell. The other thing is that her behavior was just fucking insane. This woman would just sit there and just go, ha ha, I get everything you don't. And she does that. Now, if the courts would have went and put an undercover cop out on Elena Burnell, I guarantee you she would have whistled Dixie, and she would just brag about it as if that was just common and normal. As far as I'm concerned, people today who accuse me of being a sex offender or a pedophile absolutely deserve to be shot in the back of the head unless they can prove it. Anyone who says that I'm a drug user or substance abuser and arrest me because they believe that I'm under the influence need to be shot in the back of the head. There's no reason to believe that I'm under the influence. I'm never under the influence of anything. I mean, I barely even drink alcohol. Today I just smoke up cigarettes. Because I'm always under stress and under pressure because of this case who, judges or lawyers don't want to take. They need to take my case, period. There's evidence there. You can go to Contra Costa County Mental Health and get the records, contact Cherokee County District Court, and you get the information there. It clears it up right there. They don't want to do that. That's why they fabricated records and told the courts that I'm in active treatment. Can the social workers give a specific, what am I being treated on? What am I being treated for? Can they answer that question? The social workers today couldn't even tell you where I'm living. They couldn't tell you shit. That's how pathetic this is. They need to clear my name and clear my reputation and let me go back to work and let me go to school like I'm supposed to. But no, they're holding me up. And as far as I'm concerned, every single son of a bitch who accuses me of being a sex offender, a pedophile, they need to be murdered and killed. Period. I won't tolerate it. I'm a very simple man and mind my own business. I like to sit quietly, have my cup of coffee, and not be disturbed. That's who I am. Disturbing me could cause a lot of problems. So anyways, listen further.
That result in the deprivation of a protected liberty interest, the same liberty interest that's at issue.
But it's not the same liberty interest because this was a parental liberty interest.
It's a biological versus foster parent.
That's huge. That's gigantic in terms of what somebody could appreciate and understand. How in the world could a person in the position of, we have to take the facts as they're pleaded in the light most favorable. So, we're not trying the case. But how could a person in the shoes of your clients possibly believe that it was appropriate to use perjury and false evidence in order to impair somebody's liberty interest in the continued care, custody, and control of that person's children? How could they possibly not be on notice that you can't do that?
I understand the...
How could that possibly be?
I understand the argument that it seems to be common sense and our ethical...
It's more than common sense. It's statutes that prohibit perjury and submission of false evidence in court cases.
State statutes.
Are you telling me that a person in your client's shoes couldn't understand you can't commit perjury in a court proceeding in order to take somebody's children away?
Of course not, Your Honor.
Of course not.
Then isn't the case over then?
And the case is over.
Because
Exactly. The case is over. See, the thing is that I've already reported that Lindsay Simpson had entered in juvenile sealed records from the state of Kansas and had been totally ignored for the last 15 years. Now, for the last 13 years, I haven't seen my daughter, nor been able to talk to her, nor been able to do anything. Because they have this tight noose around my neck, basically saying, well, we don't want you with a child because you may have sex with a child. Now, on the 13th of January, law enforcement basically declared their death wish or their insanity. And that was in Starbucks when I was working hard, basically trying to figure out what to do. Because I already knew the case was a fraud to begin with, and Lois Hayes didn't want to hear it. The case was over the minute I stepped in because Lindsay Simpson had entered juvenile sealed records from the state of Kansas, and those records have been sealed for 9 years prior to the re-entering it is as evidence against me, which is basically a weapon. These women have issues with males who are fathers to children.
Costanich is distinguishable in my view. How in the world Costanich deals with a secondary care, foster care? That's a whole strange thing. It's not a person's real child.
Even if Costanich
And
is
guardian's the same thing.
even if Costanich is distinguishable, there is, thus far, we have not been presented with any clearly established right that tells us that what our clients did, which is remove the children pursuant to a court order.
No, but what they're accused of doing and what the issue is here is committing perjury in a court to take away someone's children. And you just said that's obviously not okay to do.
According to our moral compass and our ethical guidelines, but what we're here to decide is the constitutionality of it, and we look to the courts.
You mean due process is somehow consistent with a government official introducing perjured testimony and false? How is that consistent? I mean, I hate to get pumped up about this, but I'm just staggered by the claim that people in the shoes of your clients wouldn't be on notice that you can't use perjury and false evidence to take away somebody's children. That to me is mind-boggling.
Mind-boggling it is. It's kind of ironic when you're sitting here.
Criminal proceedings.